3, and we have tiebreakers coming up here at the Dartmouth Curling Club. So as we get started here, excuse me, I'll introduce myself. My name is John Seitman. I will be your sole man on the microphone here this morning for tiebreaker number 1 between Chad Stevens and his rink out of the Truro Curling Club, facing off against Team Matthew Manuel, the team out of the Halifax Curling Club. So teams just settling in there to get started with this first end of play. We see Taylor Ardeal, the ice maker by trade there, settle into the hack. So that means that by the higher seeding in the tie-breaking formula, Team Stevens will have the last rock in end number 1, playing the Yellowstones. So Ardeal coming up a little bit short of the hog line. Produces a few opportunities there for Chad to manufacture a bit of offense early. So as we get started, we'll talk a little bit about how we got here to this tiebreaker. It is a first place went to Team Jamie Murphy, who ended up finishing up with a record of 6-1. A great performance there from the multi-time former champion. Before last year, they had won 3 Tankard titles in a row. Before, it was Team Stuart Thompson that ended up with the big victory in the final last year to earn their spot at the Tim Hortons Brier. And then it was drama right down to the very final shot in draw 7 yesterday afternoon, as Team Kendall Thompson defeated this Chad Stevens rink in a little bit of a interesting game. There it was there 8-4, I believe. They're from what I remember there. I called that game here on sheet D. So that forced a 3-way tiebreaker, which will be decided here over the next 2 draws of play. So in hearing a little bit about how the tie-breaking went, they went first by head-to-head between Team Manuel Stevens and Stuart Thompson, of which, from what I saw there, that could not separate the 3 teams, and then to rank the teams, it went down to the distances of the last stone draws, which was a separation for Stuart Thompson, which got them to the second tiebreaker, which we will have for you coming up at 2 o'clock against the winner of this game. The winner that will face Kendall Thompson tonight in the semi-finals. Jamie Murphy awaits the winner in the championship game coming up tomorrow at 9 a.m. So as we of course introduce this game there, we see there Graham Brecken wicking one of his Yellowstones in off of the garden into the house. We'll talk a little bit about this Matthew Manuel rink, a little bit of a young gun team of experience, as you have Matthew Manuel, former provincial champion at the junior level. There are many excellent battles there over his time in juniors with his now second Adam Cox, who you saw just throwing there. He got the hit, removed 2 yellows from play. So leading up during this event has been Taylor Ardeal, the ice maker by trade there, a former, I believe, Albertan representative there. I know, I believe it's his mother, Lynn, I believe there, usually tunes in from Alberta. The second, of course, as we mentioned, Adam Cox. The third is Luke Saunders, and that's going to be an interesting storyline there with Luke. As some of you may know, there Luke curled alongside Team Stevens' third, Peter Burgess, when they joined up with Colleen Jones, who is Luke's mom, and Lindsay Burgess, I believe, if I remember correctly, Peter's niece, but I may be wrong. There, I've curled against so many of them there that sometimes I may happen to forget. And of course, to skip Matthew Manuel, their former multi-time under 21 provincial champion, making his way on the men's ranks. There, Sweeper's working on this one there. Middle stat. Gets the hit, rolls to the inside. And that's definitely been one of those things there that I've always been saying every single time there with when you watch a Team Stevens matchup. If you're wanting to see a textbook for what good sweeping technique is, one of those ones to look at is Callie Middlestat. Very head over the brush and creating great effectiveness there. Sweepers on and off on this one there. Our ideal sweeping for Saunders. Looks like it's setting up nicely for a potential for a deuce early. Peter Burgess here, a former provincial champion 4th stone thrower there for Glenn McLeod, and of course now curling for the past few years there with Chad Stevens. Gets the hit, rolls to the outside, sitting 1-2. So on to skip stones here, we'll see Matthew Manuel, the former provincial champion there at the under 21 level, under 18 level, under 15 level, high school. Pretty much if there's anything in this province so far that he's been age eligible for, he's pretty much won everything. Looking to keep his hopes of maybe winning this Deloitte Tankard and earning a spot at the Tim Hortons Brier. That would be probably fulfilling a lifelong dream there of his. Saunders working on this one there. Gets the hit, rolls to the inside. So sitting shot stone will be Team Manuel at the side of the 4-foot. So looking set up nicely for a potential deuce for Team Stevens to open up this contest. don't forget, if you're in the area and want to come on down and watch some great curling action, we have playoffs coming up throughout today and tomorrow at 2 o'clock. Join Penny LaRock and Jim Russell for the winner of this match, as they'll be facing off against, I believe that is Stuart Thompson that will be in that one there. Sweeper's working on this one there. Bracken gets the hit, rolls to the outside, sitting 1-2. Tonight in the semifinals, there, as we mentioned, Kendall Thompson awaits, and as well, I believe, that would be Colleen Jones there. That is, in the semifinals. That'll be exciting to watch for sure. And Paul Dexter and Marty Gavin, players in this event, will be with you for the call of the men's semifinal. And the women's semi will have Pam Sullivan and Nancy Delahunt with you, and then, of course, the championship final coming up on Sunday, where we'll have some great action as we determine who will represent in Kingston, Ontario at the Tim Hortons Briar at the Leon Centre, and then in Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan for the Scotties Tournament of Hearts. Sweeper's working on this one, trying to hold the line. We'll get the hit rolls out. So opportunity here for Chad Stevens to draw for a deuce to open up this contest. Chad, the multi-time provincial finalist in this Deloitte Tankard, a few finals appearances against Jamie Murphy over the past few years for sure. As we see final stone and number 1, Chad Stevens. Just going to play a little center line out there, just going nicely here. Brecken and Middlestat just dusting it in nicely. Brooms are up, and it will be a count of 2 for Chad Stevens to open up his accounts on a Saturday morning here at the Dartmouth Curling Club. He'll lead Matthew Manuel 2-0 after 1. So as we have the teams just settling in to start up the second end of play, we'll let you know that our other feature game with, I believe, Denise and Danielle Nicholson, it is the women's tiebreaker. There are only 2 teams tied for the third and final playoff position there, between Jill Brothers and Tanya Hilliard. A pretty familiar battle for those 2 teams. Jill Brothers, the defending champion, hoping to keep her hopes alive of defending that title. The winner of that match will face Colleen Jones tonight. Marianne Arsenault awaits in the final tomorrow at 2:30. So as we get started there with this second end, we'll talk a little bit about Team Chad Stevens, as we see our lead Chris Granchelli, second Graham Brecken, third Peter Burgess, and skip Chad Stevens. Of course, we mentioned a few finals appearances there for a few members of this Team Stevens ring, and of course the experience there at Leadstones there. Kelly Middlestat, the former Tim Hortons Briar champion, alongside Mark Dacey. So as we get started there with this second end of play there, Middlestat drew one top four nicely, so we're going to see a guard attempt here from our deal. Will come to rest just biting the house, so sitting in just enough. Opportunity here for Middlestat to play a hit and roll on that one. We will keep you up to date of the game over on Sheet C as soon as we receive information as this game goes along, as it will be a deuce in an end number one for Jill Brothers, the defending champion, hoping to keep her hopes alive of returning to the Scotties Tournament of Hearts. Sweepers working on this one here on our rink. Burgess and Brecken gets the hit rolls to the far side. A reminder to our viewers who may not be as familiar with the play in an event like this, it is 10 ends of play, a little bit different than what you would see on, say, a World Curling Tour event, where most times the usual events on tour run about 8 ends, and it's 38 minutes of thinking time, and if we're tied at the completion of that, we would play an extra end to decide the winner of the match. Sweepers working on this one here from our deal. Cox and Saunders. Gets the hit, rolls over nice and frozen. Will sit shot stone, it appears. But definitely makeable to remove that, as we've seen there in the past few years. These striking bands on these provincial rocks are still nice and lively. They redid them last year and definitely worked out pretty well, as they moved really nice. As you see, Brecken makes a beautiful hit, removes everything. So you'll see Matt Manuel quickly puts the brush down, calls for the corner guard. You're going to see probably a little bit of a more defensive style for the first little while compared to what you would probably have seen in the round robin stages of this event. But team's definitely not going to leave anything behind. Of course, now you can't afford to lose a game because unlike the round robin, there's nowhere to go. You either are winning to keep your hopes of heading to the Leon Center in Kingston alive, or you'll be headed home with thoughts on how the weekend went. Brecken gets the hit, removes the guard. Looks like it's setting up for a pretty clean end here. So we'll see here Adam Cox, second for Team Manuel, but as you saw during Manuel's throws during the first end, it does hold the brush for this Team Manuel rink out of the Halifax Curling Club. Long time back end pairing there, Manuel and Cox. After for many years in the junior circuit, they were rivals on that under 21 circuit. Many provincial finals against each other there before joining up together and curling extremely well. Peter Burgess here. Sweepers just dusting that. We'll get the hit rolls out. So on to third stones here, of course, there we see Luke Saunders. Gets a nice draw to the top of the 8, but just about T-line. Of course, we mentioned there about Luke's mom there, Colleen Jones, holding a 5-2 record there, so she'll be in the semifinals. Actually, sorry, my apologies. I think it's 6-1. Yeah, it was. She finished tied with Marianne Arsenault, but the head-to-head record gave the trip to the final to Marianne after a victory in the final round of the round robin. Always like how the way the draw comes together. It always happens at these big games that decide it all, end up coming down in that final round. So he was just dusting this one there. We'll get the hit rolls toward the outside. Again, setting up for what appears to be a potential blank attempt for sure. So Chad Stevens, I believe from what I remember, at one time, and I may be wrong, at one point he was a firefighter there. Former firefighters champion, actually, in the curling world there. They have a national championship for that, and I remember for years he was at the top level of that championship. So he was dusting on this one there, middle stat. We'll get the hit there, roll out, clean house. So Adam just suggesting to Matt to draw over to the other side of the sheet. A little bit of a change in where the rocks are going, so maybe an attempt to fool the positioning of Chad Stevens while giving an opportunity to get a feel for how this sheet is moving today versus the other days of the event. So you were just dusting this one in there to the back of the 8. Oh, back to the 12 there. A little bit deeper than expected. So on to the final stone for Chad Stevens without the last rock. Middle stat. Sweeping on this one, trying to just hold the line nicely. Will do so. Sits back 12. And Manuel not wasting any time. They're already at the far end. He knows what he needs to do in a matchup like this. That familiar glare from Matthew Manuel as he kicks out of the hack. Successful on the takeout and will blank. And number 2 here on a Saturday morning at the Dartmouth Curling Club. Stevens will retain a lead of 2-0 through 2, and Manuel will retain the last rock in end number 3, playing the Blue Stones. So teams having a bit of a discussion there as this end will take off. Some good execution there from Team Stevens so far. And definitely a little bit unlucky for Team Stevens there after they were really playing extremely well throughout this event with some big victories there. They defeated Chad Stevens back and beat Andrew Gibson 8-1 there during that round, and looked like they were in a good position to jump into the semifinals. But the loss at the hands of Kendall Thompson was what was the difference, and resulted in a little bit of the early wake-up call there for a Team Stevens, both metaphorically and literally. So RDO called on by Skip Manuel to set up the corner guard. RDO, the late addition to this lineup there after he missed out in qualifying for this event, joining as a fifth there, replacing, I believe it was Jeff Wilson there, Jeff Wilson, the lead for Team Manuel, who I believe from what I had heard was injured, so unable to compete this week. But definitely executing well, the former lead for Team Stuart Thompson, who won this title last year. RDL, longtime ice maker, he was working there as an ice maker here at the Dartmouth Curling Club when I first met him, after he moved here from Alberta, and definitely very knowledgeable of this surface and how it moves, especially during these big events. Learned a lot from ice maker Tracy Froud, who's done a great job there this week, producing some great ice for the players. Nice and consistent there all week. Sweepers on and off here. Saunders jumping in, trying to get a bit of curl, get a bit of a roll. Will roll the other way, open side. So Graham Brecken here, second for Team Stevens. Looking for the hit. Middlestat, the inside sweeper, really working hard there. Burgess jumping on to defend that. Will get just enough to get the hit. Rolls out. Going to be a long day for both of these two teams, no matter who advances out of this semifinal tiebreaker, so to speak, as the tie-breaking final there this afternoon at 2, and then they'll have to jump right back out at 7 o'clock to face off again against Kendall Thompson. So Stuart Thompson, the defending champion, awaits in the tie-breaking final to decide who will jump on and take that third spot in the playoff rounds. Yeah, it looks a little bit interesting here is, I think it looks like that bluestone just it may be inside the house, so as a result you'd be able to play onto it there, just about at the end of the 5 rock free guard zone rule for this end, so that will give an opportunity to be able to potentially remove it. So Graham Brecken here, second for Team Stevens. Big weight from him. Burgess jumping in, trying to make a curl. Gets the hit, removes a few wheels, sit top 12, second shot. Good execution there from him. So we see Adam Cox. They're also interesting to see the other connection there in this matchup. A few interesting storylines, as I was told there. Chad Stevens, the skip of the team throwing the Yellowstones on this sheet, I was told that is going to be into the coaching world for the first time, at least that I've ever seen there, as he'll be coaching the SMU Huskies in the AUS curling world, and that is actually the team there where both Adam and Matt play together. Matt plays for Adam. Adam plays for SMU. Yeah. Which that was going to be interesting there, as Adam Cox plays for the SMU Huskies. Matt, a member of the Dow Tigers on the AUS curling circuit. Burgess with a little bit of the down weight hit, removes the blue blonde to Team Manuel, looking like it's setting up nicely at a potential multiple to tie up this contest. So third stone's here. Luke Saunders. Line looks pretty good here for a little bit of a roll toward the inside. We'll get it. Rolls to the edge of the 4. So you'll see, excuse me, on third stones, Peter Burgess looking at rolling toward the inside. We'll do so, rolls toward the inside, a little bit closer to the guard, so more potential for error, I guess. So just being sure on the weight, settling down into the hack, and looks pretty good to me here. Sweeper's liking it, just dusting it nicely. Ardeal working on it there, and then Cox jumps in, gets the hit, rolls out. So that could be a potential out for Team Stevens. There's Chad, already heads down. And Peter puts the brush down already early. A little bit of a costly miss there for Team Manuel, as they wanted to stick around, and that would have resulted in a potential multiple. Of course, Team Manuel down by 2 right now. Here, third end to play at the Dartmouth Curling Club, tiebreaker number 1 in the men's competition. Skip stones here, Chad Stevens. Sweepers working on this one here, Brecken and Middlestat. Will get the hit, sticks right there for a count of 2 so far. We'll let you know it's a steal of 1 for Jill Brothers in end number 2. She'll lead Tanya Hilliard by a score of 3-0. Going to be a little bit different for all the teams there. Now that it's hit the playoff rounds, a few less people in the ice shed, so you're able to communicate just that little bit better there between you and your teammates. Matthew Manuel, his first of 2, looking for a nice come around behind the guard. Positioned at the top of the 12-foot. Sweepers off on this one, trying to have it come down. Will it stop? Burgess sweeps it and right out the other side. Now, after it was looking at the possibility of Matthew Manuel taking a deuce, it looks now like, after that one miss there by Luke Saunders at third stones there, it will be probably looking at the potential for a force to a single point. Lots of pressure on this Matthew Manuel rink after an unfortunate loss in the final round of the round robin. There, they had a loss to Brent McDougall in his rink. So as we see there, Chad with a few final instructions there for his sweepers, and pushes out the hack final stone for him without the last rock. Currently holding a count of 2. Sweepers not liking this one, way behind the rock, not even wanting to touch it there. Sweepers work like there. Manuel sweeps it. Appears they're taking a look at it there. Looks out to me there. Yeah, it will be out. So pretty much full 12 is what you need to score your single. So Chad and his team will be pretty happy with the result of that end. Just simply, after at one point it looks like it was going to be a tie game, but now they'll be able to get the hammer back in this upcoming end. Potentially there, of course, still have to execute there. Matthew Manuel. Sweepers working on this one here early. Really got to go there, boys. Come on. Just got to be full 12. Gonna get there just enough to take his single. It'll be a score of 2-1 there through 3 here at the Dartmouth Curling Club. Tiebreaker number 1 of the men's competition. teams having a little bit of a discussion there at the conclusion of that end, is trying to figure out a way to go about getting back in this matchup. Of course, down by 1 now, they will not have the last rock in the next end. So, looking at ways to produce an opportunity against a very skilled team there in Team Chad Stevens. Of course, one of the things there that I was talking about there before the game was a little bit about this Team Manuel rink there. Some people may look at the youth as being a little bit of a thing there, which they may not be as experienced there in big game situations, but definitely these young men have been in many finals before and very experienced in the big game situations. They'll be threats right down to the very last shot. Sweeper's just dusting that one in there. Center guard. So now we see Kelly Middlestat, the former Tim Hortons Brier champion. One of the very few that can say they're from Nova Scotia that they have won the Tim Hortons Brier. Of course, only from what I remember, 4 teams in history can say that they've come from Nova Scotia and went on to win the Tim Hortons Brier. Of course, Kelly, a member of the Mark Dacey rink, who shocked the curling world with a 10-8 victory to win the 2004 Tim Hortons Brier over the legendary Randy Furby. That victory, a pretty significant one in the curling world and pretty memorable for Dacey, as he returned to his original hometown there. He was from Saskatchewan before moving to Nova Scotia and really getting to play in front of a hometown crowd to win his first Brier in a victory over the legend himself was quite a significant thing there for him. So there you saw Taylor Ardiel, a nice draw into the 4-foot, sat on the corner of that stone at Team Stevens, sink shot stone at the back of the button. Middlestat here, there, Brecken and Burgess working on this one. Sweeper's going on it nicely there, Burgess. Nice execution there from the former Brier champion there, Middlestat. Of course, that 2-year series there with the Tim Hortons Brier Championship title back in 2004, and then 2005 it was Sean Adams of Nova Scotia that made the final of the Tim Hortons Brier there alongside Randy Furby of Alberta. And of course, unfortunately for the Nova Scotians, it wasn't to be that year as they settled for silver. And the interesting thing to think of with that one is that one of the members of that Sean Adams rink at the time was Paul Fleming, who awaits in the final alongside Jamie Murphy. Sweeper's working on this one here from Cox. Comes to rest top of the 12. Shotstone will remain bond to Team Chad Stevens, with few potential opportunities for multiples here, depending on the way that it gets positioned over the next few stones. So this is going to be a crucial part for Team Matthew Manuel to be able to execute. There, Peter Burgess just working on this one. Got to be a little bit careful there. Will come to rest top of the button. Shotstone holding 1-2. So looking at the possibility of potential slash there on that stone at the 12, but the question is to me, is this too early? So I think there that you're probably doing what Matt was suggesting, coming in, trying to come down to that stone at the top of the button top of the 4-foot. Set up for later stages of this end for sure. Looks like, though, not going to go for that. They're going to go for the hit and roll on the yellow. They're at the top of the 8. Sweeper's just dusting this one there. Our deal jumps in. On and off. We'll get the hit, removes one yellow, leaves one blue sitting as shot stone. Sorry, second shot. My apologies. Update of the game over on Sheet C. That is our other feature game. The women's semifinal is a single point for Tanya Hilliard after dropping a steal of 1 in the second end. She'll trail by 2, and Jill Brothers will have the last rock in end number 4 as the defending champion looks to keep her hopes alive. So we see here Graham Bracken for Team Stevens. Coming down nicely there. They have a bit of backing, of course, with their own stone, plus the blue belonging to Team Manuel. That could be a bit of an out there for the Manual rink, as I think, based on this positioning, they're maybe lined up to remove at least 2 of them. The question is which way to go about it so that you don't jam on your own and remove it out of play. They're having a bit of a discussion on this, just to be absolutely sure. They have a few opportunities there with some catchers there, whether they utilize the yellow on the 8-foot or even utilize their own there, sitting third shot there, and remove a few off the 4-foot. It's going to be interesting to see what he calls here. Yeah, going for the stone full 4-foot, that would be the best way to remove the 2 on the 4-foot and leave your sing shot stone. You're hoping for even a little bit of a roll over toward the yellow on the 8-foot. Sweepers on and off, and this one, Ideal jumps in. Got to go there, boys. So it looks like it's good from here. We'll remove 2. There will be a bit of a jam. We'll leave shot stone there belonging to Team Manuel, but a much better position than they were previously. 4 looming blue Manuel stones there in the house. So we see here Peter Burgess, as we mentioned, former 4th stone thrower, who ended up going on to win it all there in the provincials at the Halifax Curling Club just a few years ago. Of course, that was a pretty significant year, as about from what I remember, about a month later was when the roof collapsed there at that Halifax Curling Club due to the heavy snow that year, and it resulted in that facility being closed for a very long time there while they rebuilt. Now back and better than ever, and actually have hosted a few their World Curling Tour events already there, as they hold their 1824 Halifax Classic. Of which Team Manuel has been a part of that before there. Of course, it was a big victory in the very first year of that event there, as Glenn Howard picked up that title there with Scott Howard, his son, skipping while Dad was over in Europe coaching for Team Scotland. So Luke Saunders here looking for the double attempt here. On and off there. We'll remove a blue and 1 yellow, at least sitting at the top of the 4. Probably glided a little bit too far wide from what they had hoped. To me, I definitely agree there with what it looks like Peter's suggesting. You really need to control a little bit of that front now. So removing some of the blue would be a very good thing right now. The big thing, though, you got to get it so that you're not going to end up jamming onto your own there, maybe causing some issues for yourself later in this end. But Peter convincing the skipper of what he needs to do, and heads down to the hack for his shot. The pretty familiar lift delivery there of Peter Burgess. Sweepers off on this one. Gets the hit, doubles out the blue. Will leave not much of anywhere to hide there for Matthew Manuel. As we're on the skip stones here, Manuel without the last rock in this fourth end of play. Reminder, we do play 10 ends and 38 minutes of thinking time if necessary, of course. Teams can utilize as much of that as they wish. And of course, if we're tied at the completion of this, it would be an extra end to decide it all. We've had at least one extra end in our TV games there, as it was the thrilling one on this sheet there with Kendall Thompson picking up a victory over his brother Stuart. So looking at the outturn hit and stick, it looks like a little bit of a roll behind the guard would be ideal there though. Saunders sweeping on this one, trying to get the curl. That's what we've seen a little bit on this sheet, just simply the way that it's been playing throughout the week. It's been playing a little. Chances are, if you're going to miss a shot there, the way that it's been going, it's been missing on the wide side. So that's definitely fooling a few teams there with the way that they've been positioning the broom there. So Chad Stevens here. Skip stones for him, up by 1 in this tiebreaker number 1. Sweeper's working on this one here. A middle stat. Gets the hit, rolls out. I will mention there, as Matt and Adam have their discussion on this one, looks like a blank probably shaping up in our other feature game there, as Joe Brothers cleaned house there with her first stone of the end. But we'll keep you up to date on that one there, as we have this playoff weekend at the Dartmouth Curling Club, looking to determine our Nova Scotia provincial champions, who will be hoisting up the provincial Scotties title for the women and the Deloitte Tankard title for the men. The lovely crystal trophy there, has been a big part of the trophy case at the Dartmouth Curling Club there, with Stuart Thompson capturing the title last year, but still a long way to go to see where that will be for another year, as they draw back to the 8th with that stone from Matthew Manuel. So holding 2, forcing Team Stevens would have been a bit of an extra opportunity there for Chad if there was a little bit less separation there. It was a little bit deep for what could have been a potential double to try to make 2, as there he holds a biter at the edge of the 12-foot, but we'll see what he goes here. Final stone and number 4. Chad Stevens on and off, so the sweeper's liking it. We'll get the hit. Oh, it will be the double. great execution there from the skipper out of the Truro Curling Club, as it will be a deuce to make this game 4-1 after 4 ends of play. And it will be Team Matthew Manuel that will have the last rock in end number 5, playing the Blue Stones down by 3. So as we mentioned there, Team Stuart Thompson await the winner of this one at 2 o'clock in the the tie-breaking final. And then of course the other Thompson brother there, Kendall Thompson, out of the Halifax Curling Club, await tonight in the semifinals. Long way to go before we determine our 2020 Deloitte Tankard champions. A lot of provinces starting their final playdown process there over the next few weeks. I know I saw there the Alberta Scotties kicked off there last night with a full house in the arena out there. And then this upcoming week it will be Ontario that will jump into the fray there with their Tankard playdowns. A few teams very familiar to some of our viewers will be rocking that ice surface, as Glenn Howard, John Epping, Scott McDonald, just to name a few, will be competing for that title to represent Ontario at the Tim Hortons Brier. So definitely an exciting weekend for curling there for Nova Scotians, and of course one of those connected to the back end of this rink, playing right now, Chad Stevens, as the Taylor Stevens rink competes at the New Holland Canadian Junior Championship. And it's come down there that Team Stevens will play in the semifinals of that event. It was cool to see there the Provincial Curling Association posted up a picture shared by Team Stevens of so many of the Nova Scotians curling at that event. Of course, some of them having gone away to curl in other provinces while attending post-secondary institutions, and one of those Nova Scotians being that of Carly Burgess, the former Caitlin Jones and Mary Fay team member, who is currently playing now as the vice for Team Mackenzie Zacharias of Team Manitoba, who will be playing in the final. So yeah, Team Stevens will face off in the semifinal at 4 o'clock Pacific time. That's 8 o'clock Atlantic. In the semifinal, they will face the winner there of Team New Brunswick. That's Melody Forsyth versus the Abby Marks rink out of Alberta. And then Team Zacharias await in the final. There, Carly Burgess and actually Lauren Lenentine, who also is a member of that Caitlin Jones World Championship rink. So we wish them all the best. Taylor Stevens, Lindsay Burgess, Kate Callahan, and Kate Fitzgerald. So as we keep talking about that there, we're on to second stones here. Adam Cox. Currently facing 2, so trying to manufacture some offense or bailout a little bit early there. You're going to want to manufacture at least a 2 there to try to get back within a reasonable count. So it looks like they're going to draw behind the corner guard. So sweepers on and off on this one there. Now Ardeal jumps in. Saunders as well draws to bite the edge of the 12-foot. Good execution there from Cox, the former under 21 representative, now in this men's circuit here, just playing extremely well there with his longtime teammate Matt Manuel. So gets it here, sails it by. Opportunity here for Team Manuel to maybe put another one in the house, put the pressure back onto Chad Stevens and try to capture a multiple to get back in this contest down by 3. Adam Cox here. Looking to move around a few of those Yellowstones. Will get a nice little nudge, removes those stones from their original position. Will still be holding 2. Their team, Chad Stevens. So probably not as good a result as Matthew Manuel had hoped on that shot. So third stones here, Peter Burgess. The former provincial mixed champion alongside Colleen Jones, Luke Saunders, and Lindsay Burgess. So we'll see here what Luke Saunders can do on this. Looking to get a bit of a rollover. We'll get a little bit. Only has that one still in the house there on the edge of the 12 shot stone, and second shot belonging to Chad Stevens. A reminder to our viewers, at the completion of this end, we'll have about a 5-minute break there as teams will regroup for the second half of this contest. But stick with us, we'll have second half coverage coming up right down to the last shot there. Long way to go for any of these two teams. Of course, have to thank our lovely streaming team from 360 Live for the great work that they've been doing this week. Lots of hours up here in the cameras and producing the broadcast downstairs, so we thank them for the work that they do. They're powered by Bell 5. Longtime supporters of curling in Nova Scotia. They're Bell with their broadcasts. So it looks like based on that signal, looking like you're gonna see some big weight coming here from Saunders. RDL just dusting this one as it sails down the sheet. Looks good to me there. Will remove two and rolls his shooter toward the inside. Opportunity in place there. As we go to skip stones, Chad Stevens will look to remove that shot stone belonging to Team Manuel. Wants to roll away, produce a bit of separation. Yeah, you definitely don't want to roll closer and produce an opportunity for Matt to make that type of shot on the other side and maybe get out of this end with a multiple, because up by 3 right now, still it's anybody's game. The 5 rock rule for free guard zone has created so much offense for the team. For any team to come back, even if they don't have the last rock, it can make anything possible. So we see our first look for this end at Matt Manuel, the former under-21 provincial champion. One of the few ones in this event that I can say I've had the pleasure of facing off against in my curling career. Big weight from him, looking for contact on that. Will he get enough? Will get the hit and will get the double. I think just enough in the roll. Wow. Great shot there from the skipper, and that may end up salvaging the potential to even get back in this contest. With a big multiple point end to go into the 5th end break. So Peter and Chad having just that last little bit of a discussion there before Chad settles in, just being sure of which stone you want to be and where you want to be drawing toward. Don't want to make this easy for Matt to be able to make a 3 out of this to tie it up. So big shot here in end number 5. Chad Stevens. Out of the Truro Curling Club. Looks a little bit like it will come to rest. Shot stone, so you'll see Matt play a bit of a more delicate weight, try to come down onto that. If you make that successfully, that will probably be your count of 3 to tie it up. And I can joke there that you'd almost make it a 5-end game out of a 10-end game there, as we would end up tied through 5 if executed like he hopes. And we'll let you know it is a single point for Jill Brothers in end number 5 to take a 4-1 lead over Tanya Hilliard. As they head into the 5th end break, Hilliard will have the last rock in end number 6. Final stone, end number 5, Matthew Manuel. Looking for a count of 3 there. Sweepers working on that one there. Our deal. Saunders now jumps in, trying to get it as best they can. Will get the hit. Will it hold on enough? Will not. Looks like it will be, at least based on how I see it, probably a count of 2. Yeah, it looks like it will be a count. We'll confirm after the break, but it looks to me like a count of 2. So stay tuned. Stevens will lead by a score of 4-3 going into the 5th end break. We'll have second half coverage coming up here live from the Dartmouth Curling Club. This is men's tiebreaker number 1 of the 2020 Deloitte Tankard. Good person. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome back inside the beautiful Dartmouth Curling Club on a Saturday morning, as it's tiebreaker Saturday here at the 2020 Nova Scotia Provincial Men's and Women's Curling Championships. This matchup comes here at the Deloitte Tankard action, as we have, after the round robin, it was a three-way tie for the third and final playoff position. So here we have Team Matthew Manuel out of the Halifax Curling Club facing off against Team Chad Stevens out of the Truro Curling Club, both teams holding a 4-3 record. Team Stuart Thompson, the defending champions, await in the second tiebreaker, with the winner to face Kendall Thompson in the semifinals, and then Jamie Murphy awaits in the championship. It's been a good game so far. It was a deuce in end number 1 for Chad Stevens before a blank in the second. Single for Matthew Manuel in the third. A deuce in end number 4 made it a 4-1 margin for Chad Stevens, but then after a little bit of a miss on that final shot there for Manuel, it was only a deuce to make the score 4-3, and that's where we come back to you for 6th-end coverage of the 2020 Deloitte Tankard. Here, presented by 360 Live, powered by Bell 5. I'm John Seitman, here with you, your sole man on the microphone, for this great game between two excellent teams. Stevens been to a few finals before here at this event, and Team Manuel, a team of young gun all-stars, as I would call them there, who have been to many finals before as well in their own right. Matthew Manuel and Adam Cox, former under-21 provincial champions. Luke Saunders, as far as I know, one of the older members of this Team Manuel rink, but still very experienced in his own right. And then the fifth, who has been playing lead all week there, Taylor Ardeal, the champion lead from last year there, alongside Stuart Thompson during that event. Unfortunately missed out in the qualifying process this year, but joined up as a fifth for Team Manuel. Unfortunately they did there, as he replaces Jeff Wilson in the lineup. So we'll remind you there, the team that you see out on the ice there, Team Manuel, their lead is Taylor Ardeal. Their second is Luke Saunders. Actually, correction, their second, but holding the brush there as the vice, there is Adam Cox. Their third is Luke Saunders. And the skip is Matthew Manuel. And then Team Stevens, their lead is Kelly Middlestat. Their second is Graham Brecken. Their third is Peter Burgess. And their skip is Chad Stevens. Alternate, Chris Grancelli. Up here on the second floor there of the Dartmouth Curling Club. a very experienced representative in his own right there, watching over his team, and you may see him in the second half of the game as neither team utilized any of their timeouts so far. So as we see teams playing a little bit of a pretty straightforward end, as you see Matthew Manuel with a stone at the back of the 8-foot. Hoping to draw another one around the center guard, really put some pressure on. There, Adam Cox. Will draw to the top of the 12-foot. Sitting a count of 2. But lots of room there. You'll see Graham Brecken go for a hit on that stone just thrown, and that could make things nice and interesting for this end. Sweepers working on this one there. Burgess and Middlestat will get the hit. Slides one of the back blue around. Still sitting shot stone team Matthew Manuel. And we'll talk about how each of these two teams got to where they are during this tiebreaker round. Team Manuel, they had a bit of a slow start to the tournament after losses to Chad Stevens and Jamie Murphy in round 1, but then going on an absolute tear as they defeated Kendall Thompson, Alan O'Leary, Stuart Thompson, and Andrew Gibson in rounds 3 through 6, and then it was a loss to Brent McDougall that put them here into this game. Big hit and roll here from Saunders. Will execute really well. We'll go right behind the guard, put some pressure on to Chad Stevens. On the reverse side there, Team Stevens was pretty red hot the first few games there as they went 4-1 through the first 5. Their wins over Manuel, O'Leary, McDougall, and Gibson, and a loss in the rematch of the final there that they've had many times before against Jamie Murphy, and then dropping the last 2 rounds to either Thompson brother there, Stewart in round 6 and Kendall in round 7, and that was the difference that put them here into this tiebreaker round. So Burgess gets the hit, rolls out. Shot stone and second shot still belonging to Team Manuel. A reminder, if you're in the area and want to come on down and watch some exciting curling action, we have a few draws today left there at 2 o'clock and 7 o'clock Atlantic time. And we'll have some good action for you both, of course, here at the Dartmouth Curling Club and live on 360 Live. At 2 o'clock, it will be the men's tiebreaker, so the winner of this game will face off against Stuart Thompson, the defending champion, out of the Dartmouth Curling Club. The team of Coulter, McKenzie, Steele, and Thompson. So Penny LaRock and Jim Russell will have the call on that one. And then tonight it will be a double header of action, as it will be the semifinals for both the men's and the women's, as Colleen Jones awaits the winner of The Hilliard and Brothers game here this morning, there, Pam Sullivan and Nancy Delahunt will have the call on that one. And at 7 o'clock as well, the men's semifinal where Kendall Thompson will await the winner of that 2 o'clock men's tiebreaker. Paul Dexter and Marty Gavin will have the call on that one. And then, of course, stay tuned on Sunday. We'll have the championship final for the men's and the women's. Jamie Murphy and Marianne Arsenault already booked their spot. I suspect we will see them at some point today. Again, their rock selections ready there for what they'll have as a very crucial game to potentially have a shot at going off to the Tim Hortons Briar and the Scotties Tournament of Hearts. So looking at the possibilities with these two stones, the big issue there is that you have to be careful not to jam that yellow at the fronts there with the blue at the back of the 8, because you really want to manufacture a multiple here. If you're Matthew Manuel, force the pressure back on to Chad Stevens. So on to skip stones, we see our first look in the second half at Matthew Manuel, the former under-21 provincial champion, looking to stake his claim on the men's circuit. He's won many events before. Sweeper's working on this one here. Our deal. They'll get the hit. The yellow slides through will sit to the top of the 4-foot. Second and third blind to Team Manuel, but a few opportunities there for Stevens to potentially get a good multiple back. Very tough spot there because they probably want to play that draw, like that spot down onto the stone at the back of the 12-foot. It's going to be in a little bit of a not too used portion of the sheet, a little bit further down toward the wings. So you'll see Brecken and Middlestack come to have a bit of a discussion on this one. So we see our first look at the second half here for Chad Stevens, the former provincial finalist. I was reminded in my Facebook timeline there this morning that actually it was just a few years ago, 2016, that Chad made the final. Unfortunately, a loss in an extra end to Jamie Murphy in that final there over at the Mayflower Curling Club. A little bit one of those heartbreaking losses there for Chad Stevens, as he ended up, it was tied up in the last rock in the hands of their team, and a little bit heavy, and that was the difference that sent Jamie Murphy off to the Tim Hortons Briar, looking to get to that big event himself this time around, and putting himself in a very good position here, holding two. So Matt having one last bit of discussion there with his vice, Adam Cox. Big moment in this matchup. They're down by one without the last rock here in end number 6. Gonna need everything out of his bag of tricks there against a team of the caliber of Chad Stevens. Big shot here. Sweeper's working on this one. Ardila and Saunders looking for a bit of a flop here. Will they get it there? Good execution there. Would have liked to be a bit more onto the yellow, but will sit second shot. So not worrying about it that much here, as it'll be a draw for a deuce. Chad Stevens. Just draw a chunk of the, good chunk of the 8 foot, maybe even touch the 4, and that's all you need to draw, get your deuce. And open up a bit of a lead in this contest. Final stone, end number 6, Chad Stevens. Sweeper's really going on this one. Is it there? Starting to, yeah, that little bit of worry at the start, but no need to worry there now, as it will be a deuce for Chad Stevens to open up a 3-shot lead. It will be a score of 6-3 after 6, and Matthew Manuel will have the hammer in end number 7, playing the Blue Stones. An update of the game over on sheet C. It is a scoreline of 4-2 after a single point in favor of Tanya Hilliard in end number 6, and Jill Brothers will have the last rock, up by 2 in end number 7. Yeah, I suspect they're now with Team Brothers for sure up by 2 with the last rock. They'll be pushing hard to get a lead and finish up this contest. The winner of that game will have a very tough matchup there in Colleen Jones tonight. And it was interesting there, Monty Mosier there, a longtime sports reporter there here in the Halifax area, was mentioning when he saw of Colleen with a 6-1 record and in the playoff rounds here, it could be an opportunity for Colleen to win a Scotties title in the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010s, and now 2020s. Yeah, if she were to win that event, it would be her 22nd provincial title if she hoists up the title here in Dartmouth. But a long way to go before that. She'll have to face the winner of the game on C. And then, of course, Marianne Arsenault waits in the final. A very strong team in their own right. Have won this event before with a few new additions to the lineup. Of course, Emma Logan jumping in as the lead for Team Arsenault. So Ardiel trying to set up the corner guard will do so nicely. So at the back of the 4-foot belonging to Team Stevens, shot stone. Of course, the rules slightly different there in the playoff rounds compared to what you would see in the round robin. Especially once you hit semifinals and finals, because unlike during the round robin where you would have a draw to the button for the last rock, the higher seeded team does have the hammer and choice of stones there, from what I remember there, and as you saw in the first end, Chad Stevens, by his victory over Matthew Manuel in the first round, did get that advantage in this contest. And then, of course, one of the things there that I always find interesting is the fun of a bit of the rock matching there, as the teams get the opportunity there once the playoff rounds come, and there's generally fewer games in play. You have the opportunity to choose rocks from any of the 4 sheets in play. Big weight coming here from Brecken. Burgess really pounding some pebble here on the inside, trying to hold the line. Will not enough. It will. He tried to get to curl, and it was not going there. So opportunity for Matthew Manuel to maybe protect a bit, try to get a bit of a multiple back. Of course, the other thing to remember, in addition to the difference there in a bit of the rocks situation, and of course the hammer in the first end, the other thing to note is that unlike the round robin where you saw some games ending after 6 ends, the teams in playoff rounds, and that includes tiebreakers from what I remember there, have to play a minimum of 8 ends. Of course, if the game does get above and beyond mathematically, teams able to end the game as well. Neither of these 2 games particularly out of hand whatsoever just yet. long way to go. Graham Bracken here looking for the hit on that stone belongs to Team Manuel. Scrapes by the first, will it get by the second? Whoa, what a shot. I didn't even know that there was room for a rock to slide by there, as it looks like it just papered just enough. Gets a hit, will set a count of 3, and really puts the pressure back on to Matthew Manuel. Probably going to need to make some play onto this set of 3 Yellowstones in the house belonging to Team Chad Stevens. We'll get the hit rolls a blue behind the guard, so good chance to help them get a multiple back. So we see here, settling into the hack, Peter Burgess having a bit of a discussion there, as he'll talk it over with his skipper and head down to the house. Teams playing particularly quick game, so not really worrying as much on the time front. I know we were talking there, if Chad and his team do advance on to the semi-final round tonight, he'll probably be wanting to be nice and speedy there, as Taylor's semi-final will take off at 8 o'clock Atlantic time at the New Holland Canadian Junior Championship. The semi-final here is scheduled to kick off at about 7 o'clock. So, looks like an intern here, a bit delicate weight, try to get to the blue stone, just thrown by Team Matthew Manuel. Will paper it a little bit. Will it remove out of the house? It will not. Will leave still 2 yellow belonging to Chad Stevens, but opportunity for Matthew Manuel to potentially place another one in and try to get a multiple back. He'd love to try to, even if he can't score the 3 to tie, at least a position where you could get a deuce and 7, force to 1, and then maybe take a multiple 9. That would really result in a good position for them. So Matt mulling this shot over. It's a crucial shot in the late stages of this contest. Oh, well, actually, while they have this discussion, we'll also let you know about a little bit of a some honors there that Team Nova Scotia picked up at the New Holland Juniors there, as from Team Graham Weagle, Jeffrey Mayer was named a first team All-Star. Scott Weagle named the second All-Star team. And their coach, Anthony Purcell, with an Asham Fair Play Award. Big shot here from Luke Saunders, calling for the sweepers to go. Wanting a bit of a roll, will roll just a little bit, enough to be sitting second and third shot. And while we finished mentioning the point there, so Team Stevens, Lindsay Burgess was named the recipient of the Ken Watson Sportsmanship Award, and Kate Callahan a recipient of the Asham Fair Play Award. And first team All-Star as well, a former Nova Scotian, now playing this year in Manitoba, Carly Burgess. So congratulations to all of them on a great performance. So yeah, Team Stevens into the semifinal at 8 o'clock as they'll face the winner of New Brunswick versus Alberta. Winner faces Team Zacharias in the final in Langley. We wish them the best of luck. Mary Madito was coaching them this week. Burgess playing the hit on the stone at the edge of the 12. Sweepers working on it there. Will get the hit, rolls out. Having a bit of a discussion to me. I don't think that there should have been as much there, as they'll quickly remove it. Update of the game over on sheet C. It is a single point for Jill Brothers in end number 7, as she'll hold a 5-2 lead over Tanya Hilliard. The 8th end, Hilliard will have the hammer, down by a score of 5-2. So Matt taking his time to have a bit of a discussion on this one. Looks like they're going to play down, I suspect, a little bit of a more delicate weight, try to tap blue onto yellow, and actually no, playing the draw around. That would be more to force. A good potential for a multiple. Sweepers working on this one here. Got to go there, boys. Cox and Ardeal working really hard on this one. Gets it by the first. Will it hold? Will come to rest back of the 12-foot, so a good result there. I think it does come open side, so that's definitely something to watch for. So on the skip stones, we see Chad Stevens, the big lift delivery there from him. Wow. And to be perfectly honest, that's the kind of game it's been for Matthew Manuel. It's not a position where. Oh, my apologies there. So I'm being told there I made a little bit of an error there. Kelly Middlestat was not on that team there that has won the Brier. It was Mark Dacey, Bruce Lonis, Rob Harris, and Andrew Gibson there. I must be remembering there the rink the year later there with Adams there. So my apologies. I believe that was Bruce Lonis there that brought that over there, coach for Team Murphy. But still, either way, a very experienced competitor, Kelly Middlestat. So holding shot stone there, Team Matthew Manuel playing the Blue Stones. Down by a score of 6-3. You'll see a hit for this one for Chad. And then probably attempting to blank the end on the part of Matthew Manuel so you can retain the hammer and try to regroup going into the next end, try to get back a multiple. Final stone for Chad Stevens without the last rock. And number 7. Gets a hit, rolls open side. So quickly putting the brush down, Matt Manuel. Big weight here, final stone. Matthew Manuel gets a hit, will blank the end and carry over the hammer over to end number 8, playing the Blue Stones. So it definitely looks like it's going to be an interesting finish to this game. Of course, we see a 3-shot lead there in favor of Chad Stevens. And Middlestat will settle in for his first one of this end, and number 8 up by 3. Of course, it will be Stuart Thompson, the defending champion, awaiting in the tie-breaking final before facing off. The winner faces off against Kendall Thompson tonight in the semi. So, as we get started there with this eighth end, we see Middlestat drew to the top of the 8. Corner guard set up there from Taylor Ardeal. Middlestat, who I confirmed there, was the runner-up in the Tim Hortons Brier. Their silver medalist in 2005 as the lead for Sean Adams there. Former World Junior champion there, though, in 1994 when he played there as third for Colin Davidson of Alberta. They made it to the World Championship final after defeating in the National Juniors a Northwest Territories and Yukon team skipped by some guy named Kevin Cooey. But who knows who that one is. Of course, we kid a little bit as Kevin Cooey will be Team Canada, and the winner of this event will actually see him at the Tim Hortons Brier in Kingston at the Leon Center. So corner guards set up well there from Taylor Ardeal. 2 zones belonging to Team Stevens set up nicely in the top of the 12. This one gliding a little bit, so it looks like it will be probably back 4 foot back 8. Will come to rest nicely back of the 4 foot. Adam Cox here, the under 21 former champion, long-time teammate there with his skipper Matthew Manuel. Looking like a nice draw here. How far will you go, boys? There will come to rest on the button. A little bit of separation, so a few more opportunities there for his team for the rest of this end. So Bracken here with this one will come to rest nicely. Taps back the blue a little bit. Leaves second shot belonging to Team Stevens at the top of the button. So it looks like you're going to see a bit of weight coming here from Adam Cox. A long-time representative out of Chester there. I was pretty fortunate to get to play against Adam a few years ago, back when I was in under-18 play at the under-18 provincials in Truro. Got the hit doubles out to yellow. So looks like Peter was looking at a few of the angles of what Team Manuel could play, especially with the hitting skill set of Team Manuel's third, Luke Saunders, who they know is really good at that style of game and has been executing his hits well. So third stone's here, Peter Burgess. Looks like they're considering this stone probably the biggest danger. I would totally agree on that one. Curling a little bit there, and will roll over toward the other side of center. So tough position here for Team Matthew Manuel, trying to manufacture a good multiple point end, down by 3. So Matt and his third, Luke Saunders, having a bit of a discussion on this one. Just want to be absolutely sure of what they want to do before they have Luke settle into the hack to throw this very crucial stone, as we see timeout called. There, that will bring the team down for a bit of a discussion. Yeah, definitely a crucial shot here in this end number 8. To me, the worry is you don't have much cover. You almost need to play this as a setup shot, and maybe by the time the rest of this game, the rest of this end comes around, you'll be able to regroup and maybe manufacture a deuce. So big shot here for Saunders. Sweepers working on this one there, Adam Cox. Hoping to probably get it a little bit thicker so that they could keep their shooter in the house, try to manufacture a multiple point end. So it's going to be tough to remove that blue stone belonging to Team Manuel at the back of the button. So the big question is, will really, will they even want to try to even do anything with this? Because if you could, like, honestly, looking at this from how I see it in the context of a Team Stevens perspective, forcing Matthew Manuel to take his 1 and gain the last rock and then number 9, that'd be a really big thing there for them, as they would have the last rock up by at least 2 there. They'll set up a little bit here by playing the hit. It will probably result in, actually no, is it a hit? Yeah, it is, yeah. My apologies. A little bit down weight, so enough to still keep some stones in play. Just juggle it a little bit around. Good result. We'll leave shot stone belonging to Team Stevens at the top of the button.
Sing with me now.
So it's definitely a tough position here. You really need to get almost a perfect roll and then find a way to remove those 2.
You know what? He's gonna go. Maybe he wants to go in a curling club. It's like the golfers. No.
Yeah, if you can find a way to maybe get down to that stone there at the top of the button, it would produce some pressure. Maybe result in a multiple opportunity. So Luke Saunders here. 3rd stones for Team Manuel. Down by 3. Sweepers working on this one here. Ardeal and Cox. Calling them on now. Sweepers working on this, trying to get a little bit of a nice roll. Will get that, nudges it over. But they're looking at that one, and I see exactly what they're looking at. That is a pocket that you can easily remove both of those. There, just got to be very, very careful how not to overthrow this. But definitely, especially for a player the caliber of Chad Stevens, a makeable shot here to really make this game just that little bit harder for Team Matthew Manuel. Big weight here from Stevens. Burgess calling on Middlestat and Bracken to go. Gets the hit. Will jam the second blue, but will leave sitting 3. Chad Stevens and his rink out at the Truro Curling Club. In a really good position now to have a chance to potentially earn a spot in the final of the tie-breaking rounds. Of course, Stevens looking for a bit of redemption there as he dropped his match in draw 6 to Stuart Thompson. So, looks like, based on what I just saw there, it will be a single for Tanya Hilliard. 5-3 through 8, and Brothers will have the hammer in 9. So Matt just gets by now, so we'll sit shot stone. So the big question here is, how do you want to set this one up there? I think in this instance I'd be playing on that exact side there that Chad just put down. You can still get even a tiny bit of a roll if you so chose there, but definitely the goal is to remove the blue at shot stone there first. Big shot here for Chad Stevens and his team out of the Truro Curling Club. Remove this and it puts a lot more pressure onto the former junior champion Matt Manuel and his rink out of the Halifax Curling Club. Looks good to me. Will roll a little bit. I think it's enough to be 2. So pretty flat, but there I believe enough to be able to potentially make 2 out of this. So big shot here for Matthew Manuel. Down by a score of 6-3 with just a few ends left to play. Final stone. Saunders working on this one. Our deal. Just watching there. We'll get the hit. We'll double out the yellow. And we'll score his deuce. So it will be a score of 6-5 in favor of Team Chad Stevens. Manuel still trails by 1. But it will be Chad Stevens that will have the last rock in end number 9 playing the Yellowstones. So teams having a little bit of a discussion on how to approach this next 2 ends. It's very much a position here where you need a big change in momentum over the next little bit of this contest. So a reminder, when we come to you at 2 o'clock, we will have men's tiebreaker number 2 between the winner of this matchup and Team Stuart Thompson, the defending champions out of this Dartmouth Curling Club. I was talking to Colton Steele, the third for that rink. And he was definitely saying there that the team very confident in their play there through the last bunch of rounds and performing to a very high standard. Yeah, definitely seeing the ice coming into a factor a little bit more now. You've seen a few short ones from Taylor Ardeal throughout the contest. Still pretty consistent there from early stages of this matchup through to now. And of course, all credit to Tracy Frout and his crew for creating a great surface there for the players to play on. And of course, as we near the late stages of the game, we have to take a moment, of course, to send a huge shout out and thank you to our title sponsors for this event. That is Scotty's and Deloitte for all that they do to support curling in Nova Scotia. It takes a lot to put events like these on, and support of generous sponsors like Deloitte and Scotty's really help make events like this happen. And then of course, a huge thank you to the crew at the Dartmouth Curling Club, all the legions of members there that, of course, led by the tournament chair, Lynn Burgess, in her 3rd year as chair of this event. Her and her crew of members, and of course the many members of the Dartmouth Curling Club giving up their ice time throughout the week to put on this showcase of Nova Scotia's best. Big shot here for Adam Cox. Needing a little bit of a roll. Will come right to the nose. Removes the yellow belonging to Chad Stevens. So Graham Brecken here now. Opportunity to start removing the blue belonging to Matthew Manuel just outside of the house. will hit the guard out, rolls over to the other side. Opportunity for Adam Cox to set up another center guard and really put the pressure back on. It would be ideal to be able to steal a point in this end and really put the pressure back on to Chad Stevens to execute in the final end. Looks pretty good from here. There to set up a center guard. Bit of an over curl actually, just off center line. Big shot here for Bracken. Looking to remove the blue guard. Will do so. Yeah, I think with the positioning that they have right now, my apologies there, the main focus of the rest of this end for Team Matthew Manuel will be protecting their stone at the top of the 4 foot. Of course, Chad into making the very difficult stuff. Will execute that guard to a little bit of a better standard than the previous.
These are old floors, boys. Busted.
So having a bit of a discussion, but nothing really changes on the call. Still looking at removing the guard. Peter Burgess. Middlestat working on this one there. It was gliding a lot, so a bit of a worry that it was going to be potentially hitting the inside one.
No worries, it doesn't pick it up as much as you think.
So Saunders just trying to replace the center guard. Will do that to perfection, so probably going to see a little bit of a change now. It's a bit deeper opportunity for removal of both blue, and Burgess, that hitting style philosophy is really his style of play. That is really taking off. Will it hold enough? It will not. So they probably going to see again, still defending that single shot at the top of the 4 foot. Matthew Manuel, the skip at the Halifax Curling Club, down by a score of 6-5 without the last rock. Here, end number 9. trying to keep his hopes of heading out to the Tim Hortons Briar alive. Of course, the winner of this match will face Stuart Thompson. Looks pretty good to me here. A little bit tight to the ring, so another opportunity probably to look at running back the blue and removing both. So Peter and Chad having that discussion. I think they're looking at that for sure as a plan B option. The main focus, though, of a shot like this is more to look at removing the front guard for sure. Big shot here for Chad Stevens, up by 1. With the last rock and number 9. Like with the hammer. Sweeper's working on this one. It is really flying off there. Oh, and that is... Whoa. That is a big shot there, ladies and gentlemen. As now, that will leave... It appears to me like that is in the discussion for second shot. So I think in that instance, based on what we're looking at there, I don't think that the shot really changes. You really are playing the guard and you force Chad on his final one to draw the 4-foot to try to be able to save one out of it. And that looks like, based on where the brush got put down there from Matthew Manuel. Oh, or am I wrong? They're looking at a tap there. This could be really interesting there. To me, on this side, we'll call you're guarding, but they're looking at the possibility of flopping, utilizing your own and potentially trying to sit 3.
I sort of half missed it. I was like, wait a minute. It's over? And then, yeah.
Oh, she got it. Look. Yeah.
That surprises me a little bit, but then again, that's why they're on the ice playing in a big event like this, and I'm up here in the broadcast position. The only thing that could be a possibility, and I think I'm hearing other people discussing this, is if they're playing almost a bit of a tick type weight, and that's assuming there that their stone is not the shot. Final stone for Matthew Manuel without the last rock will remove one of his blues from play and will leave holding a count of 2. So big shot here in end number 9. Stevens, if he can make the hit that appears like it would be for 1, if he executes this. If he doesn't, it would be the lead for Matthew Manuel. Final stone and number 9. Chad Stevens. Will jam the blue. And it will be a steal of 1 for Team Matthew Manuel. That's what they were hoping for, and the result came out. And as we started there at 9 a.m. is now 11:42 Atlantic time. 1 in for all the marbles, ladies and gentlemen, as the winner of this end, unless it's a tied end, which that would be a very highly unlikely scenario that we would see a potential for an extra end that way. The winner of this end will advance on to face Stuart Thompson at 2 o'clock in the second round of the tiebreakers.
Double might have been on the range for 2. Split the blue, rolled him guard, he threw a little heavy. Yeah. Well, must not have been. His own blue through the rings and rolled it too far. Chad played a double. If you made this double.
So Team Manuel drawing a guard just above the rings. So just over the hog line. My apologies. So Team Stevens immediately jumping into the house. We'll let you know there. A quickly update of the game over on C. It is a deuce for Jill Brothers, and pretty much putting the game to bed over there. They're playing the 10th end up by a count of 7-3. So it looks like unless something insane happens, we will have our semifinal matchup, and it would be a good one. It would be Colleen Jones versus Jill Brothers in semifinal of the women's side. That'd be a good game there, as Jones defeated Team Brothers in round 6. It was a pretty good game from what I remember hearing. So Brothers, the defending champion, will be looking for redemption as she hopes to keep her hopes of returning to the Tim Hortons Briar alive. Hey, sorry, my apologies, Sky Tournament Hearts. So a little bit down weight here from Middlestat. We'll get contact on the blue. We'll roll over to the far side of the 12. So second stones here. Adam Cox. Okay, just confirming there, both teams with about 4.5 to 5 minutes each to play this final end, so more than enough time there. Of course, a little bit different than the old school style format there that it used to be of running time, where the clock kept running until a rock came to rest. The thinking time, it stops the second that it, I believe, hits the back line. Oh, the second hits the tee there. Yeah. So good position there right now for Team Manuel. So you'll see Chad Stevens call upon Graham Brecken to peel off this center guard and really force some interesting things for the late stages of this contest. Tied at 6. Winner of this end will face off against Stuart Thompson in the final tiebreaker. So it looks like good execution there from Adam Cox. Gets the hit, removes the guard. So now you'll see Manuel quickly puts the brush down to call to replace that guard. Looks like a little bit heavy. You want to be careful not to be too close to this. Looks like we'll go top 12, just biting the edge of the 8.
Well, it's back there, but that's what it's posted. Yeah, well, that's just where I keep it, but that's where
Big shot needed here for Peter Burgess to shut down the offense of Matthew Manuel and his rink out of the Halifax Curling Club. Big shot here. Middlestat. So they'll get the slash removed to blue.
well, that's just where they have it.
Could that be the Tim Hortons Briar hopes of Matthew Manuel going in that shot, or could it be still more time to go? We'll see another guard set up here, it appears, from Luke Saunders. Cox and Ardeal on the brush. Looks a bit heavy to me from here, but coming down nicely. Okay, it proves me right there, as it comes exactly where they had hoped. Question is, are they able to see just enough of that to remove it?
Well, that's just not being used.
Chad having a bit of a discussion there with Peter, and they're taking a look at the clocks just to be sure they have enough time. Calling for the play on the guard. So it looks like the other game is down to pretty much the final shots there, as Tanya Hilliard needs to make all of hers count. We'll let you know as soon as we know the result of that game. Timeout called there on our game. So that will be, I believe, the second. For them.
That is correct.
Definitely wanting to talk this one through. It's a very crucial moment in this matchup. And it will be game over on sheet C, as it will be Jill Brothers, the defending champion, keeps her hopes alive with a victory. Make the final, I believe it was 9-3. That's unofficial there. Of course, check out nscurl.com for any of the information around the final result of that game. But in the end, it will be Jill Brothers advancing on to face Colleen Jones tonight.
Yep.
So going to be a tough final few shots here. For Matthew Manuel, if he wants to keep his hopes of a trip to the Tim Hortons Briar alive. Yeah, a few interesting options there. So it'll be interesting to see which one of those Matt is going with here. It looks like, based on that, like he's going to be playing the guard a little bit tighter ice than what he's been using earlier, so trying to hold the line just enough there. Tight and light there, so opportunity there as timeout called. That will bring the fifth for Team Stevens. That's Chris Grancelli to ice level. So really, the entire game coming down to really these last three shots. The difference, who will advance on to face Stuart Thompson. To me, in this instance, like I'm hearing a few people around me saying there, if you do peel off the front, that is a good option and gives it a few shot opportunities. Either way, you're going to have a tough shot there to go. So a reminder that when we come to you at 2 o'clock, it will be men's tiebreaker number 2 as Penny LaRock and Jim Russell will have the call of what should be a good game between the Stuart Thompson and the winner of this match. Currently it looks like it's going to be a electrifying finish to this contest. Yeah, so getting word there that Chris Grancelli was suggesting on peeling the front. Looks like they're looking at possibly with that it's open enough there that you could get contact on this shot stone, like the second shot. The only blue belonging to Matthew Manuel. Whoa. I think that's the first time I've ever seen that. So taking a deep breath, settling back in. Big weight here, middle stat. Working on this one, trying to hold the line enough. Will it get there? It will just, and will take out that lone blue belonging to Matthew Manuel. Really, the big thing now is like you gotta find a way to become shot stone and protect it as best you can, and then hope for something on the final shot of Chad Stevens of this matchup as we hit 12 noon here in downtown Dartmouth. Hope you have been enjoying this matchup. I certainly have been enjoying bringing it to you. It's been a good matchup between two great teams. So taking a little bit of extra time there just to be sure that they're without any timeouts now. So this is going to be a situation there where I think you almost have to play like Adam's suggesting there, playing for a bit of a flop over and then force Chad to the intern, draw to the lid for the win. This is a big shot here for Manuel, the former under-21 provincial champion, looking to stake his claim on the men's ranks and keep his hopes of heading to Tim Hortons Briar alive. Final stone without the last rock. And number 10, Matthew Manuel. Our deal working on this one here. Calm for it to go down a little bit. Saunders coming in, trying to make it curl. We'll get the hit. Rolls to the other side, so it looks like it's going to be a open hit. Timeout called there but not particularly needed as much there. It's just more of one of these for a making sure you have enough time to complete the shot. Take your time. This is a shot that could send you on to the the tie-breaking final and keep your hopes alive of heading on to the Tim Hortons Briar alive. Got to be careful not to throw this too wide, or else there could be a jam potential. Final stone. Chad Stevens. Sweeper's working on this one here. Just needs to remove it, make it go away, and you're on to face Stuart Thompson. Brooms are up, and it will be a count of 3. So make the final 9-6 in favor of Chad Stevens over Team Matthew Manuel in this tiebreaker number 1. Team Stevens will advance on to 2 o'clock, which will be our other feature game with Penny LaRock and Jim Russell, as we will have a tiebreaker number 2 between Chad Stevens and Stuart Thompson. The winner of that match will face a Team Kendall Thompson tonight at 7 in the semifinals. So overall, pretty good game between these two teams, but the excellent shot making of Chad Stevens throughout the event continues to hold true, and will send them off to the next tie-breaking round against Stuart Thompson. So on behalf of our crew behind the scenes at 360 Live and everyone here at the Dartmouth Curling Club, I'm John Seitman saying so long for now, and we'll see you back at 2 o'clock for the final tiebreaker, Thompson versus Stevens. Yep. Yeah, 3. Yes, it should be 9-6. And for another event, I'm done. Thanks. Alrighty, all done. Stuff. Oh.